And we are back with a Brian Broaddus' out edition of the Doing All Right podcast. We love y'all to pieces. Appreciate you being here with us on this Thursday. Whenever Brian leaves, we have house parties because I'm the substitute teacher. Whenever Brian leaves, we have house parties. We bring in friends and all this kind of stuff. And I also, too, just want to let y'all know to be ready. After the draft is over, we're going to have a bunch more guests. Some going to be virtual, some going to be sitting right there. So y'all just be ready for all that kind of stuff. And tomorrow we are breaking down quarterbacks. So don't forget to do your homework. I gave y'all that list. Don't worry about it. But today, man, we gonna tap in with one of our fast rising up and comers in the YouTube community there. We got our guy Zach from DoubleMove on YouTube. What's up, Zach?
What's up, Voch? Man, dude, I really appreciate you guys for having me on here. It's really an honor. You know what's funny is I look back when I was in college, like 3 years ago, I was watching you and Brian and Jeff and those guys, and I was going through college, and I'm like, you know what? I want to do that. I want to do what they're doing. Wow. So to be on here, man, I'm doing good. I could be doing better, honestly.
Zach, I'm sorry. You said you was in college 3 years ago. Come on, man. What you like 25 or something? I dropped out.
26. Foots always tells me I got the baby face too. So
I dropped out. I don't know exactly when people go to college, but hey, man. Hey, look, man. You are killing it in the game. You are doing fantastic work over there. I see a lot of the work that you do with Foots. He gonna do some work right here. Y'all follow him at DoubleMove on YouTube. DoubleMove, all one word. Hey, man, Zach. Let me ask you a question, man. This ain't the first time we've been on camera together. We was actually on camera last year. The Cowboys drafted Tyler Booker. I was on the draft show or something like that, and I just stepped away to come join you guys. You was working with Foots and I believe Will Steele. And Foots was having a meltdown about Tyler Booker. You were on that show, but I was fighting Foots so much, I don't even know what your opinion was. I don't even know where you was at with it, you know what I mean? So pardon me for meeting you a year ago and not getting a chance to talk to you. But last year's draft, going into it, where were you on Booker? Where were you on the Cowboys and their draft plan? And of course, now that you've gotten, like a whole year of Booker on the team, where you at with him right now?
So going into that draft, we actually did a ton of work on the wide receivers because we heard things about Tedero McMillan. Matthew Golden was in the conversation. Going into that draft, I was looking for a wide receiver too. We saw what it looked like with Jalen Tolbert and an older Brandon Cooks. The offense wasn't good. So I was thinking wide receiver. They took a guard. They said they were going to go best player available. And by all accounts, they did that based on their board. Tyler Booker, thought he had a great rookie season. I wasn't super excited with the pick just based on the positional value. And I've kind of learned that throughout the draft process to not get stuck on these players and positions because these teams are thinking differently than we are, obviously. But I like Tyler Booker. I thought he was a good addition to the offensive line. This year, if we're talking this year's draft, I have questions about taking another offensive lineman because they've invested so much into the position. But Booker was really everything you could ask for from the 12th overall pick.
Quit hating on my big boys, Zach. You ain't wrong, but damn, I got a question for you later, but please go ahead. Finish, please.
Yeah, but Tyler Booker, you can't complain with the production that he had. You lose Zach Martin. It made sense in the moment, but before that, leading up to the draft, I was just so stuck on the wide receivers.
Listen, man. Okay, so there's this fight that I've been having in Cowboy land right now, and I'm sure you have a take. There's this big six on defense that the Cowboys would love to walk away with, and Cowboy fans would love to walk away with. The two linebackers, the two edges, the safety or the corner, Mansour Delane. Jermod McCoy is a question mark right now for everybody. I'm going to ask about him in a little bit. But in the event that you get wiped out on your big six on defense, are you one of them people that go, hey, man, we got to go defense no matter what, and you start digging in your round 2 type grades, or do you go the best offensive player there if that's there? And just to add another little cherry, if it's an offensive lineman, what if it's the best offensive lineman on the board? Walk us through that, Zach, please.
I do not have a definitive. I wish I was on one side or the other, but when I do these mock drafts, whether it's with PFF or mock draft database and these different websites, I get to 12, and PFF's been really bad recently. There's nobody there. It's offensive players. You have some tackles. You have Spencer Fano, Kenyon Sadiq, those guys. Jermod McCoy is there, but I like you said, there's question marks around him. No team in the league has invested in their offensive line like the Cowboys have. Whether that has worked out or not, Tyler Guyton, there's still some question marks around him. Tyler Booker, good pick. Cooper Beebe, good pick. Tyler Smith, obviously. But at some point, I feel like the resources have to go somewhere else, whether that be on the defensive side of the ball. Offensively, I think you're pretty set. If you think that George Pickens is staying around, at least for this year, I can't really think of a spot on the offensive side of the ball that I would want to spend a first round pick on. Going into the draft process with where we were with Mansour Delane being there at 12 in every single mock, I have been under the assumption that both of those two first round picks are going to be defense. I want them to be defense. If you get there at 12 and you're wiped out, I would hope there's a trade partner. Maybe Carnell Tate falls at 12 and somebody wants to come up and get him, or one of the wide receivers, Mekhi Lemon. I wish I had a more definitive stance on it. I'm just praying and hoping that there is a defender there at 12 that you really, really like.
We're not going to use prayer and hope. I'm putting pressure on you. You got 45 seconds left on the clock and the phone ain't ringing. Your big six is wiped out. Jermod McCoy went to the Bengals. What you going to do, Zach? I'm putting you on the spot. What you going to do? Who you going to draft? What you going to do? Your big six wiped out.
Let's go Mekhi Lemon. If Mekhi Lemon's still on the board, let's say Carnell Tate's the wide receiver. I score 50 points. If you lose 51-50, at least it'll be a fun game. It'll be exhausting for 17, but at least it'll be somewhat interesting and entertaining.
I agree, man. Score 50 points, and if the other teams continuously week by week score 52 points, then Christian Parker ain't who we think he is. We have been sold a false bill of goods on him. This is very topical right now in Draftland in general. Tennessee just had its pro day, okay, and poor Colton Hood and Chris Browser, we ain't asking nothing about them and how they damn pro day went, but Jermod McCoy was the big talk of the pro day, and as he should. We got a couple videos came out, not a whole bunch. I think that's problematic in its own. He went out there, he ran fast, he jumped well. That's cool. I kind of want to know what he looks like covering and tackling people. That's just my own personal opinion. You seem to be more on the defense by any means necessary side. So if I had to assume, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, if I had to assume Jermod McCoy would be an option for you at 12 if your big six is gone. Walk me through McCoy. What's your report on him? What do you think about him? Has the pro day changed anything for you? Is he an option for you at 12?
I think the pro day did change a little bit for me because with how these guys, injured players or just, healthy players in general, not really working out before the draft, he didn't do anything at the combine. So I wasn't assuming that he was going to do much at his pro day if he was going to run or anything like that. So just to see him out there on the field is a positive for me. Now, I'm not working with drafting injured guys. Then that's what makes this draft so, up and down for me. At 12, you're getting wiped of all these guys. McCoy could be on the board simply because of the injury, not playing at all last year. I like him as a player. I saw a good athlete on film, good closing speed, short area explosiveness. He was in press 33% of the time in 2024, one of the highest in the class. If you put him on an island, he has the tenacity to get it done. He has a dog mentality, wants to be up in the receiver's face. Very aggressive with the ball in the air, good hands, swipes at the ball, swipes at the receiver's hands to dislodge it. I like him on film. I don't like drafting injured players. We've seen it time and time again. And yes, some guys do work out. There are teams that make it work. But for the Cowboys, they don't have a great track record of red flags on the medical. And maybe McCoy doesn't have any red flags, but he still didn't play at all in 2025. He hasn't been out there on the field, like you said, tackling guys, hitting guys, covering 4-3 receivers that are running the best routes he's ever seen in his entire life in the NFL. It makes me nervous, but I do like McCoy as a prospect. I don't like him, even if healthy, more than Mansour Delane.
What about at 20? What if teams suck at drafting and Jermod McCoy falls in the draft a little bit and he's there at 20 versus some of the other guys that you may have possibly at 20? What do you do then? Like, is it a first round in general thing for you? Would you rather take him in the second, or are you just out on hurt players at all? Would you rather McCoy at 20 overall?
I think I would be more in on McCoy at 20. That's kind of the range where start talking about value. He plays a really valuable position. Obviously, a good player. Depending on what the Cowboys do at 12, I would be 100% in. It makes it even better. The later that you can move back, if they can get back to 24 or 28 and 32, like you said, teams aren't very good at drafting. We saw Will Johnson fall all the way to the second round simply because he didn't do anything at his workout. Yeah. The farther back you can get him, and I'm not saying he's going to be there at 92 or anything crazy like that, but if Dallas were to move back from 20 and be at 24, 27, 30, and you have a chance for McCoy, then he's really in the conversation. I just don't think so at 12.
I want to put a little more pressure on you there because it seems like you're in on 20 if the room says, all right, y'all, we're going to draft him at 20. You'll just shrug and be like, all right. But it seems like you have other guys you would rather have at 20. Give me like 5 guys, if it's 5 guys, you would rather have at 20 over McCoy if he does fall to 20.
See, that's tough too, because I don't know where these safeties are sitting with NFL teams. Dylan Thieneman, I thought he was going to be there at 20 all day long. Emmanuel McNeil-Warren, I thought there was a good chance that he would be there. A guy that I really like, I'm not sure if he's really getting 20 buzz from a lot of people, but is R. Mason Thomas from Oklahoma, the pass rusher. Yeah. I turned on the film, and the first step, the explosiveness is otherworldly. Like, just the way that he moves. He's a little bit of a smaller guy, but he's got really good power, really good athleticism for the position. He would be a name I would be interested in. I would say I'm going to say Emmanuel McNeil-Warren, Dylan Thieneman make it to 20. Those are guys that I would be interested in. I'm a big CJ Allen fan. I wonder where he starts in the conversation. And this draft is really all over the place because The Athletic dropped a thing where they talked to NFL executives. They did a mock draft. Yes. The only consensus in the draft is those first 3 picks. It's Mendoza, Reese, and Bailey. Outside of that, everyone's all over the place with the tackles, with the wide receivers, with the corners. But that's a couple names that I would be interested in at 20.
You know, it's interesting. You're talking about the article from Mike Sando. I also referenced that a bunch. And as a Cowboy fan, there are certain things that I would like to happen in the top 10. There are certain buttons I would like to be hit. Like if somebody take Ty Simpson top 10, I'm having a party. Yeah. But in Sando's article, you just mentioned on The Athletic, y'all can go read and look at it. And guys like Peter Woods and Keldrick Faulk going top 20. Now listen, Zach, People think that I really want to go offense real bad in the draft, and that's not the case. I just want to have everybody prepared for what's possibly going to happen to us. If anything, I think like Bain should be the pick. Like I'm a big Ruben Bain guy. I think teams suck at draft. His arm length situation, the size and all that. I think teams will gift us Ruben Bain. If we're in a situation where Keldrick Faulk and Peter Woods go top 10, I'm going to buy 10 random people some damn sushi, and we're going to have a little party, Zach. Where you at on Peter Woods and Keldrick Faulk? Are they top 10 type guys to you, or are you having a party as well if they go top 10?
Oh, I'm having a party. Yeah. I'm having a party. Keldrick Faulk, I mean, you look at the frame, just that alone, NFL teams love the idea of, okay, let's get him in our building and we can work with him. We can fix him. He's still extremely young, 20, 21 years old, I think, by the time he takes an NFL snap. I actually like Peter Woods on film more than most people did. I thought he was strong, powerful, good first step, good hand placement, great eyes where he can engage and then slip and then go get the ball. I've been saying this entire time, if we can start stacking those tackles in there and the wide receivers, or a Ty Simpson slips up into the top 10, like as many guys as I don't want going in the top 10. So those defensive players can slip down the board. We're going to throw a party if any of that happens.
Yeah, man, I agree, man. I'm right there with you. If it's, Downs, Styles, Bain, I don't see Bailey or Reese or anything getting that far. I don't see Delane getting that far to you. So I think that's like your short list of guys. But there is one more name that I would have to include in my top once or whatever. Shotty came out at the owners' meeting. He was with his he was doing his interview. Shotty was doing his rounds, sitting with Kay Adams. I've learned that I hate Shotty doing national media stuff or whatever, because they just way too excited. Shotty was like, yeah, I don't wear glasses outside. And Peter Schrager was like, what? Really? What? Really? You know what I'm saying? Old girl. They were just too excited for stuff that we just heard before. You shoot basketball in your office? I just hated it. But one thing that I did walk away with listening to Shotty feels like the Cowboys are set at running back. I'm like, all right, bro, that's cool. If Javonte Williams didn't exist, we would have been in some deep shit last year. Phil Moffitt was hurt. Jaden Blue wasn't who I guess they and the coaching staff thought he was. Even fans, fans were kind of high on Blue a little bit. Malik Davis had to come off the couch to kind of help out a little bit. So in my mind, that lets you know that running back is in a bad place. Javonte was good. Javonte is also a guy that's never been healthy for a full season, ever, his whole life, ever, in the league or whatever, right? Where you at on Jeremiyah Love? Can I talk you into it? What we doing, Zach? If we get wiped out on defense, I'm always lead with that. If we get wiped out on defense, can I talk you into the running back from Notre Dame, please?
I should have prefaced my point earlier with defense. Jeremiyah Love is the one exception.
Oh,
Whoever's on defense, they're not going to be higher rated, in my opinion. So actually, Caleb Downs would be the only guy higher than Jeremiyah Love based on my board. Yeah. Jeremiyah Love 100% should be the pick at 12 if he's there, simply because of how good of a player he is. And I actually have some of my notes on him. 4.5 yards after contact. He was 95th percentile in EPA per play, EPA per target, EPA per rush, chunk play percentage. Like, just elite lateral quickness, impressive ability to jump cut, make guys miss in space. You want to talk about making Dak Prescott's career longer and easier. And I mean, what better time to have a running back after you've invested so much into the offensive line? Again, that is still up in the air with Guyton, but for the most part, your interior offensive line is really, really good. And this is when they talk about getting a running back. If the defense was a little bit better, but yes, you don't have to talk me into it, because Jeremiyah Love is such a good player.
Zach, let me tell you something. You just said something I thought was totally fascinating. DeMarco Murray made Tony Romo better. You know what I'm saying? The idea that the Cowboys were going to lead with a Tony Romo passing attack, it was cool and it worked. But the Cowboys really saw leaps and bounds when they said, all right, Tony, once you throw a little less, we're going to run with DeMarco. And DeMarco ended up being a guy. People love to forget DeMarco had 9 fumbles that year, but I ain't going to say nothing crazy, okay? Besides those, you ain't wrong. DeMarco did wonders for Tony. And I think they were drafting Zeke for Tony. But, Tony was at the end. His back was hurting. It is what it is. That's a point that when I'm arguing for Jeremiyah Love, I've never made that point. Thank you. I'm about to steal it. Jeremiyah Love would extend Dak's life. And look, we up here talking about, a 3-year window with Dak, because that's what his contract is, maybe 3 more years of elite Dak. But even after elite Dak will still be good. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. What guys would make Dak better as good Dak and not great Dak? That'll even further the argument for me with Jeremiyah Love. And I love Javonte, but Javonte ain't stopping me from drafting Jeremiyah Love. Javonte is on a 2-year deal, 2 years guaranteed or whatever, you know what I'm saying? And if he wants to be the David Montgomery to the Gibbs, if he wants to be a bridge guy till Jeremiyah Love shows up, I'm not a big fan of paying running backs big money after their 5th year, maybe a tag after that. But, but the next, like 5 or 6 years of Jeremiyah Love, it may extend your damn Dak window to 5 or 6 years.
I think Javonte makes it even better because you don't have to do what you did with Ezekiel Elliott, where you run him into the ground with 300 plus carries in his rookie season. Javonte can take some of the load off of him to where you're not giving him the ball so much that he's wearing down in 2 to 3 years, and some of that was on Zeke, but that's whatever. But the thing about Jeremiyah Love too is you can get him the ball without just handing it off to him. Like, he lined up in the slot, he ran routes, like he is a football player, not just a running back. But I would love for Jeremiyah Love to be there, because the conversation is going to be crazy, especially if another defender that everybody's been talking about for the Cowboys makes it there as well, and the Cowboys get to choose. But in my opinion, Jeremiyah Love is going to be the better player.
Well, Zach, let's just play that game and make you uncomfortable here. Jeremiyah Love or Caleb Downs? Quickly.
Downs.
Jeremiyah Love or Mansour Delane?
Love.
Jeremiyah Love or Ruben Bain?
See if I'm saying. See, you got me. Look, you're trying to get me on here.
That's what we do, man. That's what we do around here. That's what we do. Phone ain't ringing. That's what we
Let's do Bain. For this team.
I don't even know, dog. Jeremiyah Love, I want to see where you David Bailey. Let's say David Bailey sold some drugs. An old video came up and he just fell in the draft process. For some reason, teams suck at drafting. They took Monroe Freeland early, and David Bailey and Jeremiyah Love are on the board for you. Who you take?
Give me David Bailey.
Let me tell you something, dog. I'm taking Love over. If I was in charge, I'm taking Love over McCoy, Delane, Bailey, and Styles, technically. But
this is the problem with where this team is, and why I have complained a little bit with what they've done in free agency, because you should be able to say that. Yeah. You should be able to be like, yeah, Love's my number 2 player. But when you look at this team and how bad they were defensively, it hit lows that I have never seen, or I haven't seen since I guess with Mike Nolan, 2020. It's about 5 years, right? They hit the lowest of lows. So then I start playing the game where you might not be at BPA, just based on where the roster is.
Man, now that you mentioned that, let me just kind of get your take on these things, okay? The Cowboys didn't have an explosive offseason. They didn't have a splashy offseason, right? I do think that their offseason so far has been practical. Okay, it's not over. I still think they're going to make a move at linebacker. Don't quite know what that is, and they still got to fill the roster out. I think they're going to sign another pass rusher that means something, and maybe another pass rusher for like Camp or something like that. They're going to figure all that out. What do you think about the Cowboys off season so far? With the preface that it's not over and it's a lot more room to work with. Just right now so far.
I think they've done enough up to this point. I like the Rashawn Gary move. I like the Kobe Durant signing. That might have been my underrated signing of this free agency, because that's comparable to what they did with Kaiir Elam last year, and Durant is a much better player than Kaiir Elam. With the idea that they go out and get a linebacker, I like it much, much better, and I feel like a lot of other fans are probably at that point too. They did try to get Nakobe Dean. He decided to go to Las Vegas, so that kind of threw a wrench in things. I would say I feel really good about it if they had gotten a linebacker, and maybe they do a little bit later on, or they get a guy in the draft, whatever their plan is with that. But I think they've done enough. They've improved in the areas enough. I love the Jalen Thompson signing at safety, one of the best safeties they've had in a really long time. And we know that was an issue last year. Depending on what they do from here, if they go out there and get a linebacker before or after the draft, then I'll say it was a really good offseason.
Yeah, I feel you, brother. I have a theory. Entertain me for a second. I have a theory. Shotty went out there at his little media party and said his little stuff. I don't know if he was drinking, but Shotty went out there. And he was alluding to the idea that Deron Bland is a guy that they don't want to play inside. They want him to be outside. I guess Shotty assumes that Deron Bland is some sort of lockdown corner. He's not correct by saying that, but he feels that way. All right, cool. And this is mostly what the Cowboys feel. Not, when I say we, I mean them, not us necessarily. Yeah. They have big plans for Revel. Stephen Jones, Christian Parker, they refer to Revel as like a core piece of this thing. Bland is money guy. Of course, he's going to be a piece of this thing. You're totally correct about Kobe Durant. I think Kobe Durant's the best corner on the roster right now, but that's just me talking. Even as far as like nickel stuff goes, when they talk about the nickel guy, we know that they still want to acquire that guy. It's probably going to be in the draft more than likely. Plus the idea that Jalen Thompson is going to be playing nickel sometimes. Here's my theory. I don't think that the Cowboys think of corner as important as Cowboy Nation probably thinks of corner. I think if you ask Cowboy Nation what do they think about positions to acquire on defense, they would say, oh, we need everything. We need linebackers, edges, safeties, and corners. My theory is that the Cowboys have made so many moves, and when I say so many, I mean like over the past couple of years. Like we've paid Bland, we've drafted Revel, we think highly of him. He was high on the board. We spent the third on him, but he's higher on the board. And we've got Kobe Durant, and we're doing nickel stuff now. What's your take of, and this could be 12, 20, 92, 114, whatever pick. The Cowboys probably aren't as high on corner as Cowboy Nation is. What you think?
You have a really good point. I think that they look at what they've invested. Now, they don't do it with the offensive line, but they do it with their cornerbacks. They paid Diggs. They drafted Revel. They paid Bland $90 million. I mean, that's $180 million in total contract numbers between him and Diggs. Obviously, Diggs didn't work out. I don't think that they look at it like that much of a need either. They kind of live on this hope. Like we hope that Revel will be better with Christian Parker running the defense and another year removed from that ACL. We hope that Deron Bland is going to get back to himself, regain some confidence after another foot surgery. And us fans we just can't do that. It's been a need. It's been marked as a need since we started the draft process. And there's a couple of guys that I would be interested in. Avion Terrell is one of those. I don't think Mansour Delane makes it to you at 12. Of kind of that ship's kind of sailed. Colton Hood, D'Angelo Pons. I'm interested with some of these smaller cornerbacks, what they plan to do there. Because, typically with their wide receivers, they love a certain body type. They love a certain body type with their edge rushers. There's some smaller corners in this class that you can say are better than some of the bigger guys, the guys that kind of fit their mold that they look for. Chandler Rivers. I know Foot said that on here too. I've been a big fan of him. I think he can play inside and outside. That would be a guy that I would 100% take if he was available at 92 overall.
Let me see, man. I kind of got a feel about where you at 12 overall. You kind of hating on my offensive lineman and my wide receivers a little bit, but it's all good. You're not wrong, by the way. Where you at with 20 and 92? You know what I mean? You've kind of alluded to what is safety going to look like. Let's just say, for example, Ruben Bang is drafted at 12. What do we then do at 20? And then what do we then do after that long break and we draft again at 92 overall in the third round?
So I'm actually higher on CJ Allen than most people probably are. If he's there at 20, I'm going with the linebacker. Depending on what they do before the draft or what their plans are after the draft, I would like for them to get a linebacker, but I wouldn't be mad with anybody in the secondary. You get an edge player like Ruben Bain at 12. Let's go get somebody in the secondary, whether that's a corner, whether that's one of the safeties, if they were to fall to you at 20. Some of the cornerback names that I would like I said, Avion Terrell, he makes it to 20. And then 92 is a weird one because I was working under the assumption that Jermod McCoy, he's not going to be at his pro day. I'm looking at that number 92 pick and saying the Cowboys are not going to draft that pick. They're either going to move up, and whether that be from 12 to, based on the value chart, to 9, or 20 to, I think they can get to 15 or 16 based on the value chart if they throw in a fifth round pick. 92, I haven't given much thought. At that point, you're still inside of the top 100. I guess it's just going to be based on how you're stacking those guys with what you do at 12 and 20. But in my opinion, 92 is more of a chip for another plan. I
will say about whether it's 12, 20, or 92, just some background on me. You probably know this already, but I hate safeties. I hate the safety position. I hate watching it. I think it's incredibly boring. I fall asleep to it if I'm having a hard time dozing off or whatever. I'll just cut some safety on. The 2026 draft class has been oddly satisfying to watch safety. This is this is as best of a class as I've seen safety. And look, maybe other safety classes have been better. I just been hating. I don't know. But, Brian Bros makes me lock in now, so I'm really hyper-focused on it. I'm like, hey, man, I love this damn safety class. And to your point, 12, 20, 92, even at 112, like, it's names that I just love. So whether it's, I'll just go down my list. And this is in order. Downs, Thieneman, Wheatley, McNeil, Warren, Bud Clark from TCU, love him. Halsey, Kyle Lewis. Kyle Lewis is a guy I sneakily hope that teams suck at draft and they look at him as a linebacker and they say that he's too small and he falls to the Cowboys. Because I think Christian Parker is, I always preface a lot of picks with you need a creative coordinator to use these guys. Like, I wouldn't want Mike Zimmer using Kyle Lewis from Pitt. I wouldn't want him using Harold Perkins or any of those guys. But I think with Christian Parker, I think he would have a plan for these guys. Real fast, let me just pivot. Have you seen Kyle Lewis from Pittsburgh?
Yeah. Yeah. So we went and watched, we went down to the Senior Bowl in Mobile. Okay. And I have never, ever seen a linebacker or any guy really cover like he did in the one-on-ones. Like, it just doesn't happen. Guys will get out there, they'll get smoked in these one-on-ones. Like, it's made for the receivers and the running backs and the tight ends and stuff like that. Kyle Lewis I think he had 3 interceptions, had a pass defended in those drills, showed up in teams. Like, I really like Kyle Lewis. And do you have him as a linebacker ranked at all, or do you just have him as a safety?
I have him ranked as a safety, but I feel like all these guys got 2 jobs. So Kyle Lewis is like my safety linebacker type guy. But I think full time he's like a box safety for the most part.
Yeah. Oh, he was incredible. And I didn't see a single thing about him. So, like, when those guys are popping off the field in Mobile, like, I kind of go into it's the end of January knowing a couple of names. And then that was one that we came away with that we were like, oh, okay, like, this guy's going to start getting some buzz. And then did you see his workout? He can move, dude. He can move.
I'm going to ask you this and I'm going to let you go. I got 4 names here. They're all young Cowboys. I want you to kind of tell me where you at on them. What do you see the future? Are they going to be a Cowboy in the future? Are they not going to be a Cowboy in the future? What's 2026 season going to look like? Just kind of give me a rundown on these young Cowboys. I got 4 names, okay? Cornerback, Savon Revel.
I'm excited. I'm excited about what he can do. I don't think that he got put in the best situation with Matt Eberflus. He'll be a piece that I think they'll like in 2026. I loved his film coming out of ECU. I thought he was an early 2nd round pick. You get him in the 3rd round, another year removed from that ACL. I'm excited about what he can do. Now, if he doesn't play well, then we start having the conversation, because you got to. You can't just keep betting on it. But there were some bright spots last year, and then there's some dull moments too.
Donovan Ezeraku.
I'm excited about him too. Yeah, I thought he flashed. Now, the injury makes me really worried. I don't like when a guy misses training camp or isn't there for the offseason workouts. That gets me a bit nervous because he still needs to develop. He actually was a better run defender last year than we saw on film at Boston College. Didn't do as well rushing the passer, but still flashed there as well. Hopefully he gets back, and I'll say yes, he'll be a good part of 2026.
He'll be a good part, but let me ask you this. Do you think that, do you like Donovan Ezeraku enough to where you're buying into the Cowboys' plan that he needs to start on the other side of Rashawn Gary, or would you like to add somebody else to the roster?
I would like to add someone else just because of that injury. I would have more hope if he wasn't. Now, we know how the Cowboys are. Oh, yeah, he'll be back for training camp. Yeah, there's no problem. He's right on track for training camp. And then we get a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks into training camp, and he's still not out there on the field. I would have no problem if they wanted to add someone else. Really, for me, it depends on when he gets back and how he looks, because he's coming off of a surgery.
Yeah. Maris Leofau, who is our outside linebacker who is a outside linebacker right now?
No. I'm not a big Maris fan. They're moving him. He's on his third defensive coordinator in 3 years. Really fell out of favor with Matt Eberflus in a linebacker room. That was really bad. That was really, really bad. Now you're going to move him to outside linebacker. I don't think he really has the body for that or the skill set. Maybe a little bit better because he's not having to process as much and read blocks and get downhill. Maybe he has a better chance to be a better player, kind of playing on the edge. But I'm not really hopeful that Maris Leofau is going to be much of a difference maker this coming up year.
DeMarvion Overshown.
Yes. Yeah, I'm excited about Overshown. The injury history is very, very concerning. I mean, I think he's played 19 games of the possible 3 seasons that he's been a Cowboy, missed his entire rookie season, and then came back. We were really hopeful. Had a devastating knee injury. And then when he came back last year, he was kind of what I was expecting. Like he blew, his knee got torn apart. Like it was a bad injury. So for him to even come back and play at all last year was a positive. I will say I'm excited about him. I think he'll be a good piece and another year away from that knee. He'll be a part of 2026, like a good part.
I would agree, but what do you think about the future of him? Like, I think he's coming up on the end of his contract, and like you said, I don't think he's played a full season at all. So when we're moving forward and we're drafting, I've been making the point that we kind of need to draft like Overshown's not going to exist in a couple of years, because I think that might, like, how do you confidently pay Overshown like a starting linebacker for you? Of course, if he comes back on some Sam Williams type deal, then of course, but I don't think that that's going to be in his plans. So I don't think that'll be in the Cowboys' plans. What do you think about Overshown long term?
I'm with you. I think you need to work under the assumption that he's not going to be here long term. If they pay him, I really hope it's a good deal, because he just hasn't stayed healthy. Now he's going to be one of the biggest what ifs for the Cowboys if he does end up moving on and goes and plays for another team, whether it turns out good or bad for the rest of his career, because he was so talented right off the jump. Like that rookie season, in the preseason, in training camp, constantly showing up, then tears his ACL. Then he comes back and he looks just as good, just as rangy, just as physical. And then he has another one. He's just going to turn in. I just don't want him to turn into a what if, but I also don't want the Cowboys to pay him and just expect him to start magically staying healthy.
Yeah, fair enough. Man, I wanted to add one more guy, but this may sound like nonsense. In the event that the Cowboys can't get anything done, let's just say, like, in a worst case scenario, they can't go trade for a guy, and the draft just gets stupid from a value standpoint, right? And you just can't pull off linebacker like you want to. Shamar James is a young player that's around. You know, he started, played a bunch for you last year. Maybe where you at with him, Shamar James?
Maybe it's going to be a big what if, or if he can do this, if he can, I mean, a 5th round player last year from Florida, he's a little bit undersized. There were good moments last year. I think he led the Cowboys in tackles, or he had like some kind of record at some point. Now, I think that record came after the Panthers game, where your linebacker room, well, everybody on the defense looked really, really bad. And it just blows my mind that the linebackers looked as bad as they did when Eberflus was supposed to be like a linebacker whisperer of sorts. But he's not stopping me from any plans at that position for the next couple of years. But if he can continue to develop and be a special teams piece, I'm excited about that.
Zach, this has been fantastic. Appreciate you, sir.
Yeah.
Just in case there's any new eyes that's here that's, just seeing Zach for the first time. I know y'all gonna be in the chat in the comments or whatever. DoubleMove on YouTube. Where else can they find your work? What else you do, Zach?
Mainly YouTube. I have some stuff on TikTok as well. Same username. I also do some things for Fansided, and there, me and Foots have a podcast on there at the Landry Hat on YouTube, where we talk every single week, talk Cowboys football, draft, and all of that. But that's mainly it. YouTube, TikTok, and then some other stuff on YouTube.
Why the name DoubleMove? You used to play wide receiver or something?
No, I was just fascinated with wide receivers when I started. Yeah. So that was that. Like I said, we can have 8 wide receivers. We can have 8 George Pickens, 8 CeeDee Lambs. I'd be happy.
So let's draft Carnell Tate in the first round if we get wiped out on defense. Or who's your best receiver in this class? Real fast. Who's your best receiver in this class?
Mekhi Lemon.
Okay.
I like Lemon. Okay. Have we seen Tate without Jeremiah Smith?
Yeah.
You know, like good player, great player. Mekhi Lemon, dude just gets open.
I like Lemon too. I'm partial to route runners and yak guys. So anybody that runs routes and do yak things really well, they have a special place in my heart. Zach from DoubleMove is all one word. DoubleMove. Appreciate you, sir. You will definitely be back after the draft. We're going to be having more and more guests on, and we're going to be asking people to kind of break down the Cowboys' draft. Like these are the guys, and not just 150 some odd random players that are going to play somewhere else. So we'll have you back very much so. Appreciate you, sir. Fantastic stuff as always.
Thank you for having me.
For you guys, anything that you're looking for, anything that you may be curious about, we're selling the merch. NFL is a strange lady. That is a limited run. So go to the website right now, crownglowmedia.com, to find everything that you're looking for. Are you DoubleMove on Twitter too? DoubleMove on Twitter?
I'd have to check.
You don't even know.
It's like Zach Lee _DM.
Go to DoubleMove on YouTube, and he'll eventually tell you where his Twitter is, and that's how you do it there. We're also Crown Glow Media on Twitter. Tap in with Brian there, and I'm Voch Lombardi. We'll catch y'all next time. Watch the quarterbacks tomorrow, all right? Crown.